Good morning, everybody. I am having to do a re-record from Sunday night. If you attended with us Sunday night, you know that it was kind of a mess. It was my first recorded live lecture, and I had anticipated it going a little different than it did. In my mind, I had envisioned interaction and being able to see you guys and ask you questions and get involved with you that way. So that was not how it worked out. So I wasn't as prepared as I thought I was. I had about 20-30 minutes of good lecture, but I had anticipated getting involved in some conversations and asking you some questions. And with the way that this program is set up, it doesn't work well to do lesson plans that way, since most of you or none of you generally log on and interact. You just log on and watch. It makes it difficult to get much interaction. So we did do some questioning through chat, but it still didn't work out well. So this is just going to be a quick rundown of what we talked about and taking out all of the issues that we had. We had a sound issue, and then not having the interaction, it made it kind of awkward there for a little bit. So I'm doing a re-record, knocking all that out, condensing it for you, and then I will do a better job this Sunday with our lecture. Now I know what to expect. So I apologize if you were part of the Sunday night lecture. This one we'll do a quick run over, and then for those of you that weren't live with me on Sunday, you did get the email that I sent out today. I have had issues with my kidneys, and today I'm going in for hopefully the last CAT scan on my kidney and last procedure to get things going in the right direction so I start feeling better. It's been 2 weeks of honestly misery. I had a short stint in the hospital, but I'm doing okay. I'm still here. My computer's going with me, interacting with you guys, reading your homework, reading the assignments. It gives me something to do to pass the time when I don't have anything else to do. So I'm here to answer questions. Today is Tuesday, if you're watching this later on the week. So this afternoon I'll be a little out of pocket, but I'll be back this evening and the rest of the week, and I'm here to answer any questions you need. So let's get into the quick review. We have 3 chapters. They're chapters 7, 12, and 16. We'll kind of touch on 12. We'll touch on 7, talk more about 12, and just 16. It was one of my least favorite chapters of the book. So I kind of have more of a, what is your opinion? What did you take away from the chapter? More so than going over it. And maybe next week I'll get y'all's feedback and see what you said and maybe touch base about it on Sunday. But otherwise, here, let me get my screen share. So here, hopefully you can see this. Okay, so this, let's move it back. Okay, so on this, and I apologize, I have 3 screens, so my camera's here, the screen's here, so that's why I'm not looking directly at the camera. So this is chapter 7. And let's get this open. So chapter 7 was about innovation and change. So the learning outcomes explain why innovation matters to companies, discuss the different methods that managers can use to effectively manage innovation in their organizations, discuss why not changing can lead to organizational decline, and discuss the different methods that managers can use to better manage change as it occurs. So we had talked about banking in some of our last recordings, and one of the things I had talked about was if you were banking at a bank that wasn't forward thinking and changing with the times, and they were still taking your deposits and writing it on paper and things like that, that would be kind of discouraging, because you have all of these other companies that are, I mean, you can pay with your cell phone, you can pay through PayPal on websites, and they connect, and I mean, there's all this great technology out there, and if companies aren't willing to go with the role and change with the times and and do what other companies are doing, they're going to get left behind. So it's really important to be ahead of the curve, or at least with the curve, and being innovative. So that's one thing that I talked about on Sunday. So innovation matters, because if you get left behind, you could go out of business if you aren't able to react to the demands of people who want to utilize your business. The technology cycle begins with the birth of a new technology. So the best way I can explain this would be, we all, I mean, not we all, but a lot of us had pagers back in the day. So you put the pager, you went to the phone and listened to a message or called the number back that showed up. And so that was a means of communication before they came out with this simple little thing called the cell phone. So, you know, now you can text and things like that. But as the cell phones came about, slowly pagers died, and up came the new technology of cell phones. Innovation streams, patterns of innovation over time that can create subtle competitive advantage, begins with technological discontinuity, followed by discontinuous change, pursued by dominant design, and leads to incremental change. So think about in your company ways that they're innovative and that they're staying with change. And you know, just take a moment to think about, what if your company wasn't up with the times? So I work full-time for a company called Ferguson Enterprises, and right now we are working and molding our online bill pay so customers can be more with the times, with going online, seeing what's due, paying invoices. I work in the credit and finance, I've told you before. So my job is to go in and I'm making sure that the companies are current on their bills and making sure that our line of credit is good and that they are getting their statements, that they don't have any issues or discrepancies on their invoices. So now, instead of me having to go in and email that to them and invoice them, and they have the ability to log on bill pay, they can see the issues that they have, they can pick what they want to pay, instead of having to call me and say, hey, here's my credit card number, I want to pay, give me a list of invoices. So we're changing. We're trying to be innovative. We're trying to add those extra options to our customers, because, you know, someone out there is offering it, and we want to be among the leading. We want to be cutting edge. And if you know anything about our industry, our competitors would be someone like Lock Supply, and more of a big chain. We work with plumbers and home builders. So I guess home builders, if they were using Lowe's or Home Depot or something like that, we are more of a supplier for plumbing, HVAC, fire and fab, things like that. So it's not like logging onto your credit card and looking. We're more of a old-fashioned dinosaur. So using the bill pay online is something that's pretty new and innovative, and our customers like it. And it's not something that a whole lot of people in our industry offer. Of course, if you bank with, or if you have a credit card with Home Depot, you can log on and look at your Synchrony card. But with the products we offer and the people we serve, this is something new, and it's really cool, and people are excited about it. So we're trying to be innovative in that way. Let's see. I'm trying to see what else we talked about, because like I said, I'm just trying to do a quick recap of the important things. Our time really did get cut down on Sunday, because first I had a sound issue, and then not knowing that people couldn't interact. I will ask you the questions, but I, of course, won't wait for a response. Chapter 12, I focus more on chapter 12 because I find it very important. Chapter 12 if you need to make sure that you understand all of chapter 12, because in a company, the things that it talks about can keep you out of legal trouble. It can keep your company out of legal trouble. So that's why I really focused on chapter 12. And so chapter 12, is about managing individuals and a diverse workforce. So my question here that I wanted to get interaction with from everybody was, what does your company do to ensure that there's a diverse workforce. And I was hoping here to spend about 10, 15 minutes talking about different things, but it didn't work out like that. So we just had an awkward pause on Sunday. But I'll tell you what my company that I previously worked for did. And so I used to work for Enterprise Rental Car. And at Enterprise, the hub here in Tulsa, they house probably about 200 to 300 employees. And that's guessing. I could be way off. But there's a ton of employees. And we come from all walks of life. We all have different backgrounds. We all have different histories. We're all in different generations, but we all have to work together as a team to accomplish what we're trying to do, accomplish a task. So Enterprise thought it was very important to focus on diversity and to make sure that they are offering diversity training to people to make sure that they understand and that we were aware of our surroundings and what was going on in the workplace. And so in the book, it talks about what companies do to make everyone self-aware of what's around them. So at Enterprise, we had a group that you could be on. You could volunteer, or a manager could refer you to the committee, and we would do things like potlucks and small events that would slowly talk about different types of individuals or what different groups of people would like, different ethnicities. So maybe we would have a potluck over a specific area of the world. And then we would, since we were a worldwide company, we would send out, I think one time they sent out, and it sounds dumb, but it was really interesting. We sent out a coloring sheet to the headquarters in Australia, the headquarters in China, different places around the world. And they colored the picture of a car of what it looked like to them in their community. So here, in America, maybe we would have it driving down the road and you would see a Whataburger in the background. Here in Tulsa, the Tulsa area, because we did it around the country too, and you would be surprised what different people in the country, just in the US, would come back with. So maybe here we'd have a Sonic and a Whataburger, and maybe in New York they would have the Statue of Liberty. So then they comprised all of these drawings or these colorings and sent them out, and it was neat to see. You'd see the rent-a-car, you would see it all around the world, and what people envisioned in their community, for this drawing, for what would be in the background, what color the car, what add-ons they would add onto the car and things like that. So it was really interesting and really opened your eyes to we were one company, but we come from all walks of life and we all experience life differently. So that was really, really, really important. So why is it important to a company? I'm sure that you're all adults. You know that you know what's going on in the world. It's a trying time in the world, and everything is it's really important to make sure that we're including everybody, and that's why it's so important to really focus on this. Is you want to make sure that you are sensitive to other people's beliefs, other people's needs, and what they need in the workplace. You want to make sure that you are including everyone and not making anybody feel singled out. When I worked at Enterprise, I had an employee who she didn't eat pork and she didn't celebrate Christmas like we did. And so we were I was really conscious about making sure we didn't have a Christmas party, but we did have a party, but we named it something different, and we didn't relate it around Christmas. So we didn't include Christmas trees because everyone wanted to do something for the holidays, but the one employee wouldn't participate because it wasn't in her belief to celebrate Christmas. So we were conscious about that, worked around it, because if you were excluding someone, it's bad taste, it's bad business, and it can get you in a lot of trouble. Another thing is if we were to eat out, generally I would talk to her and say, hey, where's places that you can eat out, because she couldn't even eat something if it touched pork. like say you were eating pizza and it cut a sausage pizza and then it cut a pepperoni pizza, she couldn't eat, and then it cut a cheese pizza, she couldn't eat the pizza because it's touched pork. And so, because the knife touched pork. So we were really conscious about where we went and ate with her. And the staff was great. They were really self-aware of, they were really aware of her needs. And we didn't make a big deal out of it. We didn't single her out, but you know, we just wanted her to feel included and not excluded. So it's really important that you're thinking about things like that and you're aware of your surroundings. So let's see. The chapter, I mean, you just have to read it. It talks about diversity. It talks about age discrimination, sex discrimination, the glass ceiling, racial and ethnic discrimination, disability discrimination. So on Sunday, I did talk about, I had a boss, and you know, he was a great guy. He was a really good boss, but he had issues, and he wouldn't come out and straight tell us, but he definitely had issues with women and with education that wasn't from a reputable college. So if you didn't graduate from OU or OSU or Harvard or somewhere, one of the top schools in the state, or something like that. I had a degree from Southern Nazarene and from St. Gregory's. So to him, I had two things against me. I really wasn't educated to him because I just got a degree from St. Gregory's or Southern Nazarene. So he didn't care. And for two, I was a female. And we know he had issues with females because he had mentioned it to some of his guy buddies who had told us. So it is, you know, hearing it through the grapevine, not hearing it from the horse's mouth, but the way he acted towards the guy employees versus the girl employees, it was apparent that he had issues with females. And I'm not going to name the company I worked for at the time, but I obviously don't work for that company anymore because, I mean, you had to deal with that, but I didn't have any proof. And you know how it is. You don't want to be the tattletale. It really didn't affect me because I didn't plan to move up with him or anything. So, but you have to watch out for things like that because it could have come to light that he was being sexually discriminating, and it could have been big issues for the company, and it still could be. I don't know if he's still at the company today, but he really needs to watch what he's saying because it can cause big issues. And so you have to be conscious of how you talk about people and the things you say. Disability discrimination, you have to follow. You have to, again, it goes back to, you have to make it where nobody feels singled out and everybody feels included and nobody feels excluded. And so whether it's this disability discrimination here on the page or racial and ethnic discrimination, you have to make sure that you're being mindful of what you say, and that you wouldn't say something to somebody that could hurt them. I mean, it kind of goes back to just being a good person. You want to make sure that if you can't say something nice, don't say anything at all. And it may be funny to you, and the person that you're saying something to or joking with, they may laugh at them at the time, but it may really affect them and they may not appreciate what you're saying. So just be mindful of that. Great chapter. It has a lot of good information, and out of all the chapters so far, I want to make sure that everyone is really mindful about chapter 12 because it plays a big part in your future and in your current life right now. It can make or break someone in their career. If they're discriminant, you can get fired, the company can get sued. So just make sure that chapter 12 was read and it's really sticking with you and that you understand everything that it's about. So next, this is, again, one of my least favorite chapters. So we're just going to kind of, let's go over the summary of what it was about. And then just email me whenever you do don't email me, I'm sorry, whenever you do your review and you submit it online, I'll show you where that's at. Just add in there what your biggest takeaway from the chapter was. So in summary of this chapter, control is a regulatory process of establishing standards to achieve goals, comparing actual performance against the standards, and taking corrective action. Balanced scorecards encourages managers to look beyond traditional financial measures, and traditional approaches to controlling financial performances focuses on accounting tools. There's the key terms. Again, it's a good chapter. Excuse me. It's a good chapter. You have to know this stuff. But whenever I'm interested to see what you took away from the chapter. So whenever you do your review from this week, definitely tell me what your biggest takeaway was. Let's go back over here. If you didn't log in with me on Sunday, I need your live lecture submission, week 3, and all you're going to do is do a quick review of this video that you're watching right now and answer my one question: what was your biggest takeaway from chapter 16? Get that submitted. Make sure you're doing your discussions, 3.1. We have 5 people on there so far. This is Tuesday, and so these are actually due by Tuesday night. So if you're watching this after Tuesday and you haven't done it, you're behind, so get on there and do that. Lastly, this week we have the matching quiz, and this is something I talked about on Sunday. Assignment 3.2 is you are going to pretend you're a district manager and you have these 5 employees, and they each have these different personality dimensions. And so you're going to come in and decide how you manage them. And so this is really interesting. And so I'm excited to read this of how each of you would take on the task of managing these different personalities. So that's due by Saturday. And then this interview one, it wants you to interview somebody in the company that you work for. And so you're going to interview them. Let's move this. It will interview them, and it shouldn't take any more than 10 minutes. If you don't work where you have somebody you can interview, interview somebody in the same field as you, if possible. If you have questions or you're having a difficult time finding someone, just get with me and I'll help you through that. So you'll name the person, the title, the name of their business, ask them those 5 questions, and then ask 3 more questions relating to the concepts you learned in chapter 7, 12, and 16. And then another thing that I had mentioned on Sunday, whenever you're doing the discussions or the homework, if you can make sure, like it says step 1, name the person, the title, step 2. So please write step 1, the information, step 2, the information, label it 1, 2, 3, 4. It makes it easier whenever I'm grading to go through these rubrics and go through and be like, okay, step 1, yep, they covered step 1. Here's all the information. Step 2, yes. When you put it all together and I'm trying to decipher through a paragraph versus through the bullet points, it makes it more difficult to make sure that you've covered all the steps. I mean, it's doable, but just please make it easier on me, because remember, I'm grading this over and over again. I have 16 of you, so if you will lay it out in that format, I would greatly appreciate it. Again, I will be out of pocket this afternoon, but I will be available after that. I'm going to work on grading papers. I should have a big long lag at the hospital, and I'll have my laptop with me, so I'll work on papers. And reach out via email. I'll be able to respond. And if you need anything, I'll be here, and I appreciate you listening in. Have a good week, and I'll see you Sunday at 8.